this is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hello, it's me on the radio. Isn't that wonderful? Hey, you got a problem with what I said about Pete Hegseth? Go suck it. Unbelievable. The only people who can disagree with, well, anybody can disagree with me, but the only people I will listen to who disagree with me about Pete Hegseth on almost anything, to be honest, because the guy is running the Pentagon about as recklessly as he ran his phony nonprofits. His mom was right, by the way. All right. His mom said he was a bad guy, right? Told him it to his face. All right. And from what I hear, he played a lot of nasty games with her and other people in the family. Now, why am I talking like this? Because the guy is reckless. The guy is doing a lot of things wrong. You know, you take up space when you're one of the prime guys. You're one of the prime guys advising the president, and you don't have anything to advise. And I believe that President Trump knows that, right? But you still got to go through the motions. Right? So you got your Secretary of Defense, you got your Vice President, you got your Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, you got your Secretary of State, you got your National Security Advisor. There are only so many people you can fit in the room. All right? And one of them has got to be Pete Hegseth for appearance purposes. And that means someone else is not going to get in the room, and he's got to listen to Pete, pretend he knows what he's talking about. I don't think Pete knows what he's talking about. All right? Now, Pete is full. You know what? I heard a rumor the other day he's running for president. He wants to be president. And that's why it's all about what sounds good in the moment, right? And it's the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world to try to be popular, right? When you're in a position like that, your popularity, you don't care about your popularity. You're not looking at your poll numbers. It's all about the president helping him, assisting him, and letting these guys off the hook, these Army pilots who, you know what? I'm sorry. You did something wrong. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do a slow flyby of Kid Rock's house, right? I mean, number one, you're too impressed with celebrity. What if it was another celebrity, a liberal celebrity? We wouldn't like that, would we? An AH-64, an Apache helicopter? You're screwing around with that thing? You know, every trip in my Harrier jet was a business trip. We never screwed around. Everything was all business because the damn thing cost $36 million. We didn't own it. We signed for it. We were responsible for it. I'm trying to, the idea of doing something like that, even in the 90s, which quite frankly was a little bit looser, right? I mean, you know, it's like everybody didn't have a camera, right? It was very kind of, I'm just saying you could get away with stuff if you tried. We didn't even try to get away with stuff. This is a very important responsibility. Special trust and confidence. That's what it means. And you got to make unpopular decisions. And of course, Hegseth is so, I would say he lacks confidence in his own military accomplishment. And he knows that real military professionals know what he did and what he didn't do. Okay, they're not impressed. All right, civilians may be impressed, right? People who never served, lots of people, right? Oh my gosh, and the tattoos. And here's something I know about him. All right, he pulled strings to get over there in the first place. He cut in line. He called General Petraeus because he knew him from his dealings, right? He was working on Wall Street. It's like, wow, this sucks. There's a war happening. I want to be a politician. I want to be president someday. I got to get my ticket punched. So he pulls strings to get himself over there. Well, that's great, isn't it? No, not really. He got himself over there and he had very little to contribute because he didn't know anything, right? Comes back, jerks around with this fly-by-night, phony baloney, what do you call it, nonprofit. It's basically John Kerry in reverse. John Kerry went to Vietnam for a nanosecond so he could come back and complain about the war. Pete Hegseth goes over there for a nanosecond, comes back so he can promote the war. And he did it twice. He did it in Iraq, Afghanistan. And here's the real tell in my book. He comes back from Afghanistan. 2 days later, he declares for the U.S. Senate from Minnesota. This is a guy who's all politics, all right? Doesn't know what he's doing, and it breaks my heart. And you know what? I'm starting to wonder about Dan Cain, Raising Cain. You know, you're going to treat me like a child? You're going to treat me like I'm in fourth grade? You're going to tell me stories about some guy who died 2 years ago at the age of 100 and run out the clock? This is the fourth briefing he's given since this war started in February. And all this crap that he's talking about to distract us and to inhibit the people in the room from asking real questions. Cut 5, please.
This morning, I want to share that yesterday the Joint Force had the honor of participating in the burial of Colonel Clarence Emil Bud Anderson, who passed away in May of 2024 at the ripe old age of 102. He was laid to rest in Arlington Cemetery yesterday morning alongside his wife of 70 years, Eleanor, who he married on February 23rd, 1945.
Well, oh shucks, that's just beautiful. If you want to be, it's actually a scandal. Why is a guy waiting 2 years for his burial? Why is the family, right? He died in 2024. And I understand there's a backlog to get into Arlington. Well, there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. All right? We can go to the moon. We're going to the moon. Figure out how you die, and a week later, you're buried in the ground at Arlington Cemetery. I think we could figure that one out. Well, we have this. No, you don't. No, this is how we're going to do it starting now. All right? Hegseth, maybe you could help with that. Unbelievable. And he goes on like this, jerking me around. This may work for some people in the sticks. All right? But this is very serious stuff. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. He just wastes our time with this. Yeah, no offense to the colonel and his wife. But he left the military 54 years ago. The last time this guy was in the military, we were going to the moon. For the let's see here. Where is this thing? Cut 6.
She passed away in 2015 at the age of 92. Bud, yesterday, a legend to our Air Force and fighter pilots everywhere, was honored with a combination flyby of F-35s and a 4-ship of P-51 Mustangs. He was one of the most prolific flying aces of World War II and the highest scoring P-51 ace with 16 and a quarter kills in his squadron and in his group. And he served from 1942 to 1972.
Wow. I'm sorry, but so what? We got a war going on right now. We got Marines on the way. We got soldiers on the way. We got A-10 Warthogs. We got B-52s. We got B-1, B-2, B-19. Everything's flying over there. We have, at times, the media is reporting this thing as a stalemate, which I don't think it is, but I'm left to wonder. And then after he tells us about this 102-year-old guy who died 2 years ago, it's all about the people who work in the factory. Cut 8.
And to our adversaries out there, I remind you to beware of the American workforce.
Beware of the American workforce. Hey, where the hell's that guy from Breezy Point? Shoot. Somebody just accidentally hung up on him. I want Breezy Point back on the phone, please. Breezy Point. Calling Breezy Point. We love that Breezy Point. You don't want to let the enemy know that we are, got this bomb-making situation. You want to just don't bring them into it. A lot of weird stuff going on. Very, very strange. How do we feel about mail-in ballots? How do we feel about mail-in ballots? They're susceptible to all kinds of fraud. And you know what really is? How about this? And no one has thought about this, although, quite frankly, Jimmy Carter and the late, great Secretary of State James Baker, although I don't know how great he was, one of the things they said shortly after the 2000 election, one of the reasons why we don't like mail-in ballots is because guess what? When you're home and you got some, jerk, kind of tyrant-like dude who's in charge of the household, he'll be like pushing people around saying, you vote for this guy, you vote for this guy. You know, we're going to have a problem. It's not a secret ballot when you're at home. Should be secret. All right, listen to this. Cut 14, please. Cut 14.
President Trump is set to address the nation with an update on the Iran war. His last primetime address to the country was in December when he defended his economic plan. NBC4's Tracy Leong is in the newsroom for us now with the latest. Tracy.
Yeah, Carolyn, President Trump told reporters he expects the U.S. to leave Iran in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
As the war in Iran is entering its second month, President Trump told NBC News, quote, we're doing great and it's coming to an end. And while the White House says the war in Iran will be over soon, with oil field and tankers as the target of attacks, the price of oil and gas will keep going up. For the first time in 4 years, a gallon of gas is averaging more than $4 nationwide and around $6 here in California, a direct consequence of oil tankers stuck in the Strait of Hormuz.
We're at $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
The European Union telling its members to get ready for a long disruption to energy markets. Until the war ends and the strait reopens, the price of oil is expected to surge, causing hardship in a number of American industries, including airlines. The president also announced he would be cracking down on crime in several cities, including Los Angeles, saying he would send federal agents for the World Cup this summer.
Los Angeles should call and probably will. I think they have to. Now, we're going to have to do something when it comes World Cup time.
Hey, stop. You know what I'm looking at? It's very cool. Another live look at Cape Kennedy. I've never seen this. They got the astronauts at the foot of the rocket, walking around the rocket, checking it out. Usually they get on the elevator. They don't do this. They actually did an inspection of the rocket. I'm looking live at the very base of the Artemis II rocket. It's on top of that crazy structure. Is it still on top of the crawler? Does it stay on top of the crawler? You know, they got this great big tank thing. I thought they moved it off that. Anyway, this is very exciting. It looks a little bit overcast down there in Florida. We're going to the moon finally. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's going to blast off T-minus a little over 4 hours from now, a little after 6 p.m. tonight. Man, oh man, this is good stuff. The last time we went around I'm trying to think the last time we went to the moon and didn't land. And you know when that was? Apollo 13. The last time we went to the moon and did not land on the moon was Apollo 13. I got a live look right now at the top of the rocket. You know when you get on an airplane and they got that little structure you walk through, the bridge to the plane, you know, that little, what do we call it? The hallway. It's like a little hallway, but you can tell it's like a foldable hallway, right? The sky bridge, I think they call it, whatever it is. I'm looking live right now at two guys in that little hallway. They're waiting for the astronauts. The door to the space capsule is open, and they're going to help these guys basically put on their seatbelts. Basically, that's what they're going to do, and, you know, plug in all the tubes and stuff like that. Ah, Joseph, you're back. Hello, I did not want to, I appreciate it. What's on your mind regarding Hegseth?
Yes, I feel like you're jealous of him.
It's funny to me. It's funny. You know, he says any critic that he has, he accuses them of jealousy. You know, there are some people who used to work for him. They called him, they were jealous. He said they're jealous. Jealous. Everyone's jealous of him. He's a joke. He has no business being in the job. They're jealous. You know, when you walk with God, quite frankly, you're not very jealous. You're just not jealous. You understand what you have and why you have it. And it's all in his control. Jealous. You have any clue about any of these things? Let me just ask you this. Were you ever in the military?
No.
All right. Well, that's a big kind of... Now, granted, there are people in the military who like this, right? Who like all the bravado, who like the tough talk, right? But basically, it's designed to appeal to civilians like you. All right? People who are never in. Because officers and gentlemen don't talk like that because he's not a gentleman. And, oh, yeah, well, we don't want gentlemen. We want warriors. We want people who kill. There's a lot more to it than that. Hold on a second, Joe. I'm watching the astronauts get on the plane or get on the great big spaceship, and it's absolutely awesome that we're going back. Let's see here. Yeah, that's how I feel about him. I also, he was on the Fox and Friends weekend show one day, and he's Secretary of War the next day. Now, there's good and bad to that. Let me talk about the good part first. It's necessary going forward that you have a guy like Pete who has a modicum of prestige, but also will be totally and completely loyal to the president who gave him that job. Because when you got a guy like Mattis, he's thinking about a bunch of other things. So that's good. It's also good that he fired CQ Brown. It's also good that he told the military, hey, let's get out of the risk aversion thing. But we are at war now. He doesn't know anything. And he's a reckless personality. And if you disagree with me, I don't know, maybe you want to read that email from his mom. So that's how I feel about that. What walk are you on in Breezy Point? Are you on one of those walks?
Oh, yeah, I'm on 60 Ocean Avenue.
Is that the walk or is it a street? I love Breezy Point. You know, my grandparents from over there and my aunt and uncle. My aunt's gone. Anyway, what's the bottom line, Joseph?
I think you're jealous of him.
Explain that. Explain why what is to be jealous of? Huh? That he's been married 3 times? That he's got 7 kids? I'm
all in on Donald Trump.
I'm all in on Donald Trump, too. And Donald Trump has made mistakes before. He made mistakes with his first Secretary of Defense, Mattis. Hey, Mattis. Does President Trump strike out when it comes to personnel issues? He has 1,000,000 times before. Whether it's the Secretary of Defense the first time, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the second Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right? This is the 1 week area. And I happen to know that people at the White House have had it with Hegseth, all right? Jealous. He's jealous of me, actually. He is jealous of me because of my genuine military credentials and his fake ones. I'll be right back.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So I think they call this the White Room, where the astronauts just hang out before they get into the spaceship. And I think that's there they are. And these guys in their white suits, not the astronauts, but the technicians, are helping these guys get in. And it's so cool. It's so cool. We're going back. The NASA crew is on the launch pad. They're right outside the space capsule. It's so interesting how the space capsule looks just like the space capsule we had 50 years ago. It looks just like it. It's basically the same size. It's got to be bigger. But it's very, very similar. There are only so many ways, I guess, to get to space. All right, there's the music. We got to get out of here. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Little less than 4 hours till blast off. Good luck to the astronauts, okay? We want them to have a great time and come back with plenty of moon rocks. Well, actually, no, not moon rocks. Pictures!
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
No, very cool again. I'm watching these astronauts. They're almost on their way to the moon. Very, very, very cool. Good luck to those guys. Good luck. I love it. I absolutely love it. They're going to space, outer space, deep space for the first time in 50-something years. In the meantime, are we getting out of NATO? President Trump is sounding the alarm once again, threatening to pull out of NATO. President Trump portrayed the alliance as a paper tiger and said Europe was on its own and trying to secure the Strait of Hormuz. This is a big deal. He's made noise like this before, and you know what? I'm open-minded. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Why is it just the North Atlantic? What about the South Atlantic? We got friends down there. Hey, is Eric standing by? He sure is. Eric Eggers from the Government Accountability Institute and that great Drill Down podcast. And he's also with Susan Crabtree and that great media venture. Eric Eggers is one of the smartest people we know. First off, Eric, I understand you're going to be able to see the rocket when it blasts off later. Where are you?
Well, no, I live in Florida, and so we're optimistic that we will be able to see it. But my father is so excited. He lives in North Georgia now, but I grew up in Titusville, Greg. I grew up on literally the Space Coast. I went to astronaut high school. And so I grew up hearing my whole house shake when the shuttle would re-enter orbit and the sonic boom. This is an amazing moment for the country. I think it's inspirational. I can hear the excitement in your voice when I was listening to your show earlier. Something about us doing things that we shouldn't be able to do as human beings just captures the imagination, hopefully provides some measure of unity to us as a people. It's a really neat time. But thank you for asking. It's an exciting time for me.
Totally cool. Hey, you went to Astronaut High School? That was the name of the high school? Astronaut High School?
Well, we're not that creative, Greg. The other one's called Titusville High, so pick a name,
It's a little, what do they say? On the nose, if you will, but that's kind of motivating. All right, Eric, couple of things here. Number one, the war in Iran. There's a little bit of, we're getting conflicting signals all over the place. Negotiations going well. Are there negotiations? Just give us your sense of where we are and where things are going, how this is all going to play out.
Well, I feel like Donald Trump and the Trump administration, and I'm interested to hear your perspective, but I feel like they're very motivated to find a way to bring this to a conclusion for several reasons. Number one, I think, they've accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. They decimated Iran's nuclear and military capacity. They've obviously eliminated its political leadership. They accomplished regime change without so far tying us into an ownership stake that requires the presence of an extended way of U.S. military. But I think from now, the American people are beginning to feel the cost in a very real way. I drive a diesel SUV, Greg, and so I'm very aware that diesel is over $5.60 a gallon in Florida, and we don't even have expensive gas taxes. But all the goods everywhere across this country make their way to stores, so you and I can buy them on diesel trucks. So when diesel's up, that means the cost of everything is up, and I think that is something that when the American people are trying to balance what do they experience as far as the cost of this war versus what the Trump administration has explained as the threat that was posed, I don't know that the value proposition is something that most Americans are buying at a level that the Trump administration would have wanted them to. That's just my gut sense of it. You might totally disagree, but I think for that reason, plus that the political winds don't seem to be in the future in a short and concise way. So I feel like they're motivated to bring this in for a close, and I think Trump will say something about that tonight.
Well, let me straighten you out about a few things, Eric Eggers. Wow.
Please do. Please do.
No, listen, Eric, I have so much respect for you and your outlook. I respectfully disagree. What do you drive again?
A diesel SUV.
Why the hell do you have one of those?
Well, when I bought it, I thought that diesel was going to be cheaper than the premium fuel that my BMW required. But I know it's April Fool's Day, but the joke's on me for the last several years.
Well, look, a couple of things, and I've been pointing this out, and, there are times when you have to do what's right, whether or not it's popular. And there are times, true leadership isn't just figuring out what people like and what people want and doing exactly what they want. Sometimes you have to do something that's not popular and make it popular. And I think that's part of what's going to happen tonight. I look outside, I look around, I live my life, I talk to people. I don't sense that people are on the edge of their seat, mad about the economy or this war. In fact, I am struck by how people are not talking about the war. Now, you could say I run in certain circles or whatever, but no, I feel pretty comfortable with that I'm in touch. Now, I will say that the podcasters, because podcasters always need something to be mad about, and a lot of them secretly resent Trump, and they have for a long time, and they are anxious to show their independence of him, and this is the opportunity. Last thing, and I'm really interested in your opinion on this. President Trump and arguably President Obama became president in part because they opposed the Iraq war, or at least they weren't vocal proponents, and that was an advantage they had over a lot of Republicans who defended that war and promoted that war. And they envy that political positioning, that pure political positioning. And they're like, damn it, they were right. I'm going to be like that next time. So I feel like there's a lot of that kicking in, like, marketing and how we're going to be able to portray ourselves going down the road. And there's some of that at work as well. But look, go ahead.
I would just say this. I think to your point, I don't disagree with you. I think you're actually probably very in touch, but I guess I wonder if it means something other than what you think it means, which is like you hear people not being upset about the war and or specifically they're not talking about the war. And I do agree with that. But my point would be if it's something that people aren't talking about, then is that enough? Like, should we just be like apathetically receiving the fact that this is occurring and the Trump administration has been able to protect people from the cost of it in terms of a relatively small amount of, military lives have been lost, although each one is a tragedy? Or if the costs are about to get higher? I guess that's my point. I just wonder if we're not approaching the place where, the value proposition changes in terms of like what can actually be accomplished moving forward versus what the cost will be. And you hate to say this in crass political terms, although you're the one that just said you think some of these maybe opponents of it are trying to get this Obama and 2015 Trump positioning of being against wars, and I think that's very wise. But I also just think the American people, it's not just about the candidates for president, it's about the midterm elections, because that absolutely matters to what the Trump administration can do, whether it's the SAVE Act or all the different kind of bills they want to pass. And I just think the economy matters. I mean, a box of Cheerios, again, in Florida was like $9. So, and they've been laser focused on trying to get these costs down, and they know they only have a few months to do that. And I just don't think this war is helpful that way. Now, that doesn't mean it's not right. And it doesn't mean that Trump can't make it popular. I love that phrase. I think that's very wise. It's great advice if that's the direction they want to go in. I just don't know that they've done that yet. So if tonight, if you're right, and tonight is a step they need to take towards it, then in my opinion, they need to do a better job of selling the American people. Although, as we've discussed with Susan Crabtree, I mean, there's no doubt the threat the Iranians have posed is so real. Greg, you may not have known this, but like the day before the Butler assassination attempt, we arrested a guy for trying to assassinate Donald Trump who had just come from Iran. But I think that's the story that hasn't been told widely. So I guess what I'm saying is you either need to make a better case of why we're doing this or find a way to, just present the wins that we've already accomplished in a way that really matters.
All interesting. Look, I just feel that you don't have to explain to Americans that the Iranian government regime is bad and has been for a long time. We know that. It's almost in our, it's in our bones at this point. And I go back, the $9 Cheerios, I think about what President Trump said. You remember when he said, a beautiful girl does not need $37. She doesn't. And, we are a country of excess. We quite frankly should not be eating Cheerios, to be honest. We shouldn't. Cheerios stink. It's all carbs. Everybody, by the way, gets the Honey Nut Cheerios, which is all sugar, and it's terrible for you. And no, I'm serious. I look in the baskets of people at the food store, and I'm like, 3/4 of that stuff is not nutritious. You're just throwing money away. And, we're hardly ever asked to sacrifice in this country. The moment our diesel goes up or our unleaded goes up, gosh damn it, there's hell to pay. And we're yelling and screaming at congressmen in town hall meetings. I mean, God forbid sacrifice, I mean, we just are never called upon to do it. We become fat, entitled and somewhat dumb. And, I feel like it's time to grow up. I mean, obviously I'm being a little bit harsh. We are an amazing country and the people totally get it. But, I don't know.
Listen, I totally agree with you in so many respects. I will say as a brief aside, I don't even disagree with you about the Cheerios, but tomorrow morning when my children are complaining because I'm not going to let them have it, I'm going to use your cell number and call you and say, talk to Uncle Greg, because he's going to tell you why these Cheerios are bad. But I will say everything else about the sacrifice, I totally agree with. I think that's one of the big failings of the George W. Bush administration. 9/11 happened. We go into Afghanistan. We go into Iraq. And you really had a moment where I think there would have been a willingness to have collective sacrifice. And instead we were told to go shop because we had to get the economy up, right? So I totally agree with you that we we are at our best when we all work together towards a common goal. Again, like the moon, we were about to go back to the moon. I have old newspapers in my office, Greg. One of them is when the Russians took the lead in the space race, and it was like, oh, America's far behind. And the next one I have with giant headline from the Orlando Evening Star says, Shep did it. So, I mean, we are a country who used to do good things, and we beat people because we work together. And if they want to make this the case that we do it, I love that. I support that. I think you're right. It's also in our DNA that we could do that, but we haven't been asked to do that for a long time. And we're also a country of such little attention. You know, we all got ADD. So that I just think that would actually be a tremendous asset, or like part of Trump's legacy, if he could get people to remind ourselves that we are capable of that. I just don't know that that's happened yet. But by the way, Greg, anti-Cheerios Greg Kelly is elite Greg Kelly. I just want to say that for all time.
Okay. Hey, one more thing. You see any sign of a MAGA breakup?
I've seen some signs of MAGA breakup between some MAGA couples that are in the headlines recently. But I don't know. You mean as far as a factor?
Well, they're calling about a MAGA breakup, and the mainstream media hits that a lot. The polls suggest otherwise, but there are conversations going on, and let's face it, it's probably easier for MAGA to oppose than to be in the majority. And, gosh, you mentioned the SAVE Act. I mean, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got the president. We can't get the SAVE Act, for crying out loud. What's it going to be later? But, you know what I'm talking about. You hear about a MAGA breakup. Do you sense one is coming or one is happening?
No, I don't think so. Because I think, to your point, like, while there may be, a significant percentage of this country that's still not a fan of Donald Trump, he remains incredibly popular with the people who voted for him, and the vast majority of them do so. And I think that no one will be able to break up with Donald Trump, or there won't be a MAGA breakup, because Donald Trump remains this incredibly attractive force. You might disagree with some of the things he's doing, but, look, like a marriage, like you might not agree with everything your wife does, but you're not trying to leave. And I think that he remains somebody that the American people want to be wedded to. That's why they voted for him in the first place. Look, even Ron DeSantis, who was as aggressive as they get in terms of going after Donald Trump on the 2024 campaign trail, is making nice with him and making certain choices to, I think, ally himself, because he sees Donald Trump's endorsement as key for whatever happens in 2028. So, no, I don't think so. I think that's just, look, the people in the mainstream media, they've never understood the MAGA movement. They look at things and hold it up and assign a different meaning than I think what most people are part of it do, and I think that's kind of what's happening here.
Eric Eggers, one of the smartest people we know, co-host of the Drill Down podcast with Peter Schweitzer, and also that fantastic podcast you're doing with Susan Crabtree. Give me the name of that again. I always Google you and I find it, but what's the name?
It's called On Background with Susan Crabtree. And thank you. You're always so kind. And I'm so sorry, Greg. I want to apologize to you and your audience for that. While I may be one of the smartest people you guys know, I'm also apparently terrifically wrong about both Iran and cereal today. So it's my fault. Yeah, well, it's okay. We'll give you some time to, do some soul searching. And that's what I'm going to go do right now. I'm going to go listen to Coldplay in the dark and see what's going wrong with my life.
Let me think. All right. Now you're getting nasty. Now I got to straighten you out. Hey, by the way, look at the astronauts. They're all strapped in, and they're all in their and we got a live look inside the space capsule. Now, we didn't have that. We didn't have that with the Apollo. We didn't have that with the Soyuz. We didn't have that with the space shuttle. I'm looking live right in their cockpit. By the way, if I were in that cockpit, I'd like some personal time. You know what I mean? I don't want that. I don't really seriously. I mean, we're listening to their heartbeat. Now we can watch them. Anyway, they know what they're doing. Good stuff. Thank you, Eric Eggers. To be continued. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we are back. I'm looking at an illegal migrant accused of fatally stabbing a Virginia man. Wow. There it happened in Abigail Spanberger's Virginia. Illegal alien criminals are not illegal alien criminals. They are our neighbors, right? Our neighbors. Members of our community. Wrong. Send them back. Actually, put them in prison first and then send them back. Did I mention the number? 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Bob. Hello.
Hey, Greg. How you doing?
Good.
You're doing very well. I'm a new listener, man. Are you familiar with Andy Weir, the author?
Nah. I know Brett Weir.
He wrote The Martian, and he wrote Project Hail Mary. He's also got another book out called Artemis, believe it or not. I just started. It's about an established civil settlement on the moon. I think you would dig it, man. It's very believable. Just something I thought you would like, man. It sounds like this moon thing is got you going, man. It does me, that's for sure.
It does. It's very exciting to me. All right, Andy Weir, Weir.
Yes, he did The Martian, Project Hail Mary, which I'm going to see shortly.
Oh, The Martian. That was the movie. They made the Matt Damon movie, right?
Yeah, man. The next book was Project Hail Mary, which was just absolutely incredible.
I appreciate it, Bob. I'm going to check it out. I haven't read a novel in a long time. I think I'm going to enjoy it. Thank you, sir. Brian, hello. You see you later, buddy. Brian, are you there? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, just a quick comment on the avionics you were talking about with the buttons and knobs. I would agree. I like the buttons and knobs as opposed to the touch screen. The touch screen is a problem if you're in turbulence. And I've experienced that a number of times. Trying to push the right icon on the touch screen and you're getting bounced around is pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I'm surprised this isn't more of a thing. I haven't heard much of it. I only noticed it when I was in that Cybertruck. And I'm like, every time I want to, reach out and touch something, I got to touch it. I got to look with my, point my finger and kind of like aim it. And I'm like, I'm surprised this isn't more of an issue. Have you heard this discussed more widely, or is it just the two of us?
No, not much at all. I've experienced it since touchscreens come out maybe 10 years ago, flying these small planes, and it is very frustrating and borderline dangerous, especially if you're at low altitude and if you're getting beat up by the wind, which is usually, below 10,000. But yeah, the knobs and the buttons, you can grab the knob, you can hold on, you can turn it. But the touch screen, like you said, you're trying to aim your finger, you're getting bounced all over. It gets frustrating.
It's so interesting. You can still have a glass cockpit and have buttons. Like in the Harrier, we had a glass, we had these cathode CRTs, but they had 1 million buttons around them, and it was menu driven, but you still had to press buttons. So that's interesting. I want to do a bit more research because I may just start making more noise about this. Thank you, sir. Jimmy is standing by. Are you there?
Are you aware of a letter that President Trump posted on Truth Social Sunday, Palm Sunday, from Franklin Graham? He received it in October, and it was addressing President Trump's wrong doctrine that he believes that he's going to get to heaven on his works.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh. Well, he didn't quite say it that way. I know what you're talking about. I have not seen the letter. Franklin Graham sent him a letter, and he posted it on True Social, huh?
Yeah, in October he sent him the letter, but President Trump published it on True Social Sunday, and it's excellent.
Well, I love it. I will read it. Thank you for telling me about that because, we don't get into, we can't impress God, right? We can't, I'm going to do all this good stuff. Because guess what? When you start doing a lot of good stuff, a lot of us feel like, maybe I can, have a little fun over here on the side, right? After all, I do all this good stuff. I can do this bad stuff over here. Nobody's looking. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's amazing. What is open to us, and we are sinful and we need him, and I love it. I'm so glad. I'm excited to read this letter. Thank you, Jimmy. I will. Real quick, Joe.
Good afternoon. I'm getting a little frustrated. America First.
You, Joe, frustrated? I don't believe it.
How could it be that we have to borrow money? We're in debt. We have people in this country that are on the balls of their ass, and we're sending money where they're stealing it. How about enough is enough?
All right, Joe, balls of their ass. I'm still stuck on that one, all right? I'm also stuck a little bit. You can be too negative, all right? I want you to be positive. Call back with something positive, all right? Please.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.